We as humanity has fallen into forgetfulness that we are here for two purposes only. We are here to have a relationship with ourselves and to have the relationship with the outward or the relationship with others. When I say relationship with ourselves, it's not that egoic part of getting you identifying yourself with every physical aspect, concept, idea, or identity. Relationship with self is quietude. And many people are confusing this word quietude with silence. But quietude and silence are two different aspects. Because in silence is shutting up your mouth, not speaking. But still your mind could be wandering or talking. But in quietude, we are with ourselves within, behind the mind, the physical mind, being the observer. Quietude is moving back the physical mind. That is what quietude is. And this thing has been practiced by many of those who have been parents or who are parents. That moment when kids are making noise, running up and down, and then you shout at them and tell them, quiet, sit down, quiet, quiet. It means they have to be quiet. When you tell them quiet, is not that they should shut their mouth, is sit still and be with yourselves. It has been forgotten by the modern culture. Humanity has been programmed to have a relationship with the outward, forgetting the relationship with self, but focusing on the relationship with the outward. And this is why humanity is continuously in a process of seeking and focusing our energies outward for contentment, without knowing that contentment comes from the quietude. It comes from the quietude. Quietude is within. Contentment comes from within. The reason why humanity are busy focused on the relationships outside of themselves, seeking contentment, because they have never taken time to be in quietude. Because contentment comes from the within. And the reason why we are experiencing we are experiencing loss of control of our own emotions within us is because we are not focused on the quietude. Because emotions are within us. We can only come to the realization of them, acknowledging them, coming to peace with them, when we become in quietude. Quietude is residing within, is being in the state of the kingdom, which is, when they say the kingdom of God is now, it means is here and now. When they say it is the kingdom of God is within you, where it means where you are, it is. Therefore, it is now where you are. The state of quietude is the state of being, is becoming to the state of being oneself. The state of being that which is not attached to any. It is not the state of being that which is not attached. Neither is it denying any aspect. Not attaching, not denying. The state of oneness. State of oneness that lacks separation and judgments. When you are in the state of quietude, it is always the mind of Christ or the higher mind that works. Because the higher mind only works when the physical mind stops thinking. The higher mind thinks only when the physical mind stops thinking. So when your physical mind is busy thinking, the higher mind disconnects. And the craziest thing is that the physical mind thinks that is the one that does the thinking. But it is not. The physical mind only identifies this and that. It can never think. It can never think. It depends on the signals from the five senses. Therefore, when you are busy stuck to the outward, the higher mind disconnects because it can only think when the physical mind is stilled. That's why it is said being still. This state of stillness is what quietude is. It's not a state of silence, it's a state. Quietude is another state because silence can be of mouth, but your ears are busy listening. Your eyes are busy looking. Quietude, everything is stilled, all the senses. Not being here, being there, but being present. Not even to disconnect from the senses, but to be present. In awareness, be present. All your physical senses to be present. Is the present moment. The moment of quietude. Quietude is the state of calmness, state of peace, serene, stillness. It is that state which is one with the momentum, with the divine momentum of creation. The divine momentum. There is this divine momentum of creation which moves continuously. That's why it's called the divine momentum. It moves continuous every moment. For you to catch it, you have to be present. Immediately you get out of the present moment, you've missed it. It's in that quietude where you might hear that silent voice of God. God speaks. God's voice is silent, is very silent. God's voice is silent. It can only be heard in the state of quietude. As quietude is defined as a state of stillness, calmness, and quiet in person or state. It is not something that happens by accident. We find quietude when we carve out the time and space in our busy schedules, take temporary leave from our everyday world, and simply be still. And there was a time in the not too distant past when people devoted an entire day to quietude, spending hour after hour in reflection and solitude. This period is more commonly known as the Sabbath. This is what Sabbath is supposed to be. The period known as Sabbath is that period where people were devoted. It was a devoted day for quietude, spending hour after hour in reflection and solitude. That is what Sabbath is. And what is missing in humanity for most people in today's world is that period of solitude and reflection, which was an integral part of the life for thousands and thousands of years from the times of our ancestors. To attain this state, we have to separate ourselves from our everyday reality and retreat into the space that is calm and still by avoiding any form of external stimulation. And when you come out, you come from this moment of quietude, you come out refreshed and recharged, better able to be the person you are meant to be. When you feel right inside, things seems to go better even the outside. That is evidently because they say as within, so without. Quietude is the act of keeping the mind under control, silencing the mind. This is the greatest challenge to an individual, as it is ever active, and it is always, the mind is always busy. But still, it's not an impossible. It can be achieved if one has the determination to persevere with the constant practice, and also to develop dispassion towards worldly objects. When we attempt to quiet the mind and we manage it even for a short while, we get a glimpse of higher truths. At that moment, courage and hope come to the seeker. Banking on this major foothold, one has to proceed relentlessly in this path. Quietude is the restraining of the senses and leading a life of self-control. Because it's the outward reality through the outward bound sense organs are that which are we using to chase the worldly object, and we submit to the outward reality through our physical senses. So quietude is that aspect where, or a concept of withdrawing back to who we are, to our own self, not the egoic self, but the self. There is only one I. When you say I am this, I am that, I am this, I am that, let me tell you, you are just giving all those identities to that one I within you. When you say I am a manager, and at the same time you meet somebody else, you tell them I am a mother, this is what happens. Those are not two eyes. It is the same I. The one which is the manager is the same which is the mother, is the same which is the wife. So this is where the withdrawing back within to be with the I. When we fall away from this space of quietude, we are already connected to the outward reality. Outward reality is what is programming your mind, is what programming is what the matrix is. It can be manipulated. The only thing that cannot be manipulated is the within, is that which is within yourself. Anything outside of your physical reality can be manipulated by somebody else, even by yourself. But that which is within cannot be manipulated. The truth from within, the knowledge from within cannot be manipulated. Outward here, there is no knowledge, there is information. Knowledge comes from within. What is outside here is information, is what education is what programming is what the matrix is. And the reason why we are having or experiencing hardship to practice quietude is because quietude reveals to us who we are. When you are in the state of quietude, all what you are harboring within, they rise up. If it is fear, anger, everything that which you are harboring within rises up. That's why many people are fearing that space of solitude, that space of stillness, that space of quietude, because immediately you are quiet, all the garbage you are carrying within, they rise up in the waters of quietude. And at that moment you can even experience them, the fears, because in that quietude is when the fear of unknown comes, the unforgivenesses. You remember that all the negative emotions rise up. Quietude is more than the absence of noise, words, sounds. Instead, it is complete inner silence and stillness that inhibits openness, reflectness, and love. Indeed, in the silence, in that silence, we become truly open and in tune with what is being availed to us, which we will otherwise be drawn into constant influx and agitations. In being open to quietude, anyone can do this. Anyone can practice this quietude, this Sabbath. You just begin to ground yourself in the here and now and being in yourself. Or grounding yourself in the here and now, and let the now to be in itself, which is the now. Then by dwelling in your being, you can then reflect and contemplate on your relationship with your experiences, thoughts, and feelings directly, both inwardly and at yourself, and outwardly towards others and the world. Solitude gives rise to what cannot be said or found expressible, and what is sensed, experienced, and even noticed. The creative nature of our ethical lives itself is brought forward in our collective. The creative nature of our ethical life itself is brought forward in our collective stillness, in our collective silence, in our collective quietude. Quietude is rich in its forms and contents. through silence, and in silence the threads of our thinking, doing, living, and praying are interwoven into the wholeness of being, all at once, the here and now. And people should understand this, that solitude is not isolation, no seclusion, but on the contrary, silence, the solitude is intensely relational and hence profoundly communal. If we have a collective quietude, a collective as humanity, if we have a collective quietude, collective stillness, we can invite solidarity, inclusivity, harmony, and mutual presence of all and everyone. There will be no even boundaries and borders in this world. We will live as humans. This state of silence and stillness or quietude is appreciated as a common value. It cannot be treated as means to an end, but instead we recognize the intrinsic valuable nature of quietude, stillness, which is the meaningful and the worthwhile in itself. I can say quietude, we can take the example of the sun, our own sun. That is what quietude is. A best example is the sun. That is what quietude is. It's producing heat, it's producing light, but even when it is rising in the morning, you don't hear trumpets, hear noises, hear and everything. You never hear anything like the sun is coming up. Nothing. It's just in silence. When you are in silence, when you are in that quietude, stillness, or state of silence connected to the within, what you emit outward is the light. Is the light. Quietude is connect. Actually, when you are in quietude or state of stillness or the present moment, you are connecting the physical and you become the connector of the physical and the spiritual realms. That's why I am saying when you are residing within, what you will reflect outside is the light within, because what is within is the